Facebook. And I'm here with Amy. Amy, thank you so much. Amy Freinberg Trufush, the international best-selling author of the book Food, Eat with Ease Every Day. Okay, eat with ease every day. All right. And give me that subtitle, Amy.
Make the life you want, be happy.
Make the life you want, be happy. Now that's kind of interesting because the word make, like you make food, you prepare food, eat with ease every day. Make the life you want, like make it like a cake. How about that? What do you think about that, Amy?
There's a lot of truth in there. We're not inactive participants here on earth. We have the opportunity of free will and to make choices.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I learned in my journey of losing 150 pounds.
Wow. Wow. Folks, I'm talking to a lady who is, there's a book out called Go Giver. I don't know if you've read that book. I haven't read it, but I've heard about the Go Giver. The Go Giver. That's the life that you have truly exemplified on so many levels, ma'am. You are a Go Giver. And as a result, it's an honor and a privilege to be speaking with you and to be sharing your story, your journey to the world. Okay. So walk us through this. What do you see there on your screen, ma'am?
I see a book listed on Amazon that I wrote, and that's mind-blowing. I'm still in utter disbelief, to be perfectly open about it. It's a really weird feeling to know that, something I created is a actual paperback, hardcover, Kindle book. And my deepest desire is that it can get out into people's hands and hopefully they read my story and something in it touches them and they know that they can take a different step forward into a new life. So
Why?
I have goosebumps looking at it, and I mean that in the most humble way. Writing a book is sort of in a vacuum, and I know you know what I mean, Dr. Fred. You really get into it intently, and at times I thought it was good. At other times I thought it was terrible. I second guessed myself. Other times I'd pick it up and read it and say like that was just so honest. I know it's going to help somebody. So I just put one foot in front of the other. And I got all the way through, and right under the deadline, I loaded it up on Kindle. You and I were together for that, and that was a teary moment. It's a big deal for me to be able to share this with people.
Wow. Wow. Look at that, folks. Talk to us about this image here. How did you come up with that image, that cover, you in the chair there? I mean, walk us through the creation of this image because this is just impressive.
Thank you so much. So I have a dear friend who's a photographer. His name is Dan Doyle, and he's local to me here in the Albany, New York area. And he is just a master with natural light. He's just amazing. And last January 1st, this was before I even met you, Dr. Fred, I did that thing that people are doing, which is name it and claim it. I said that 2021 was going to be my year. And I was going to allow myself to fully express who I was and what I wanted to be, and to use the term how I wanted to show up in the world. And I hadn't met you, and I hadn't written a book. I hadn't been on Dr. Oz. I hadn't. I just had this feeling that I was gonna make this my year, 2021. And I called Dan and said, I want to come over on New Year's Day. Are you I'm going to bring this crazy coat I have, and I'm going to sit there in my slimmer version of myself. And I just want you to get an honest picture of me sitting at ease with myself and with my choices. I just wanted to be me. And he took the picture, and he took a few pictures and sent them to me after. And I was so very happy with this photo because I think, and I look at my own self, I feel like I look at ease with myself. And that was such a long road for me to be at ease. So this was before I had even a book idea or even thought I might write a book. I have to, say that I always thought I sort of had a book in me, but I wasn't like, I'm going to go shoot a book cover today. I just wanted to shoot with my friend Dan and see if I could get a picture of myself feeling like I'm at that point of my life where I'm not going to hide and shrink away anymore. I'm going to show up. And I asked him to get that kind of picture, and he nailed it. He absolutely nailed it. So fast forward to me needing a book cover, and I thought, boy, if anybody feels like they want to see a version of a confident woman who feels at ease and she's just showing up simply for herself, I hope this photo embodies that, because that was my deepest intention, that we can each show up as our fullest self. And this was me doing just that.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, you came to this point in life where, okay, I'm going to go for it. And I want an image of me just at ease.
Exactly right. I'm too old to be chicken. I've been around too much to pretend I don't know what's good for me anymore. And I wanted to sit there in my version of my power, if you will. And I don't mean to sound that in a boastful, pounding my chest way. I mean to say that in the most ease-inspiring way. It's a comfort in knowing who you are and what you can do and what you can share with others. It's a comfort in that. And I think I finally got to the point where I was going to allow myself to show up, share, help people, say yes, and just without even knowing what the next step would be, take one foot in front of the other, because I believe that it would all work out well.
Incredible, incredible. And so from that step, then you move forward and we show we make a connection in Clubhouse. Is that correct?
That's exactly right. And it was January 24th, Dr. Jones, because today I got a happy birthday from Clubhouse notice that it was 1 year ago today where I stumbled into Clubhouse, not quite knowing what it was. And I think I listened in one of your Clubhouse rooms where you talked about writing a book. I didn't say anything. I just listened. And then the following Sunday, which would be 1 year ago on this coming Monday, which last year was on a Sunday, you were hosting a Clubhouse room called Bestseller Overnight. Are you next? And I liked how you conducted your rooms. I found you to be very inspiring and authentic. I just felt good about it, just being in the room with you, listening to what you had to say. And at that point, I had just been on the Dr. Oz show to share my 150-pound weight loss story. And the episode was pre-recorded, so it hadn't aired yet, and it was set to air the next day, which would be the Monday after we met. And I remember raising my hand, not quite knowing what would happen, but again, I was going to name it and claim it, so I can't be shy. So I raised my hand and I said, my name is Amy. I lost 150 pounds. I was on the Dr. Oz show, and the show is going to be on tomorrow, and I don't have anything to offer people. And you were like, what? You're going to be on the Dr. Oz show and you don't have anything? Nothing? You don't have a course? You don't have a book? You don't have a speech? I'm like, nope, I just went on and told my story. And I just wanted to help people. And you said, I'll never forget, you said, this is what we call a hot deadline. And you said, how serious are you about doing this on a scale of 1 to 10? And I said, 10. And you and I, for the next hour, got on to the Amazon KDP. You coached me privately with a special arrangement. And you were able to help me list my book and get it out for pre-sale. And it went to #1 in pre-sale, which blew my mind. So you literally helped me with everything from helping to name the book, Eat with Ease Every Day, which I still love, and list it so that it would be, properly categorized. And then the Amazon algorithm worked, and we were able to get a #1 designation overnight. I opened my email the next morning and there was an email from someone on your staff, I think Erica, that said, congratulations, you officially have the designation of a bestseller. And I was amazing. That was just amazing to me. So the next thing I had to do, of course, was figure out how to write a book because it was my first time. And I'm the kind of person who I like to over deliver. It's kind of what I do. I don't phone it in. Like I said, I'm I know better and I'm too old to pretend I don't. So I wanted to do something that would really reflect my journey as a severely overweight person. And I wanted to do honor to my parents and my family and my situation, and to the person who's reading the book at home who feels stuck and just wants some ideas about how they might be able to compassionately and kindly move forward into a new life. So I literally finished it last week. I met the most amazing woman on Upwork who did the design for me, and the book is just beyond my expectations. Her name is Henrietta Sampson. If anybody's looking for an amazing book designer, she's just like fantastic. And I think Dr. Jones, I shared it with you, and she just did such a beautiful job. We were actually able to make it interactive in terms of like journal prompts and places for people to write things down. If something that I said resonates with them, they can write their own feelings about it in the book. So it was really important to me to share it. I say it's part memoir, it's part how-to, and it's part journal. So my deepest wish is that it helps someone to move through anything in their life that's causing them to feel like they're not at ease with a situation. Ease is such a small word, but such a powerful feeling. To be at ease around something that used to cause angst is like the best.
Would you say that ease is being comfortable in your own skin?
Absolutely. And even it's even more than that. It's being confident in your next decision. And it's being trusting in your ability to make a choice that's going to be good for you. And you know, there's this saying, you have to take care of yourself first. And some people like it and some people don't, especially people like me who are givers. And you and I were talking about this before. But at some point, even on the journey of wanting to serve others, I had to come to a place where in my own mind, I was at long last treating myself as well as I'm treating the next person, which is usually pretty good. I try to do well by people in life. So when I actually realized that I too am worthy of the time and care and patience in figuring something difficult like this out, it really changed my whole future. So that's my wish for the person picking up the book, that they have that clarifying moment as well.
Amy, talk to us about how you came to the title of the book. And I'm not talking about the part that we did together. I want to talk about how that decision and what was the energy around the decision that you came to title this book the way you did. Talk to us about that, please.
So the official name of the book is Food, Eat with Ease Every Day. And the decision about it was that I came to this realization that, you know, throughout my life, I was completely obsessed with food, thinking about food all the time. I would be eating one meal, thinking about the next meal. What am I going to have for a snack? What do I want to have next? I was thinking about food when I wasn't even hungry. And what I realized, that as much as I obsessed about food, I had this epiphany. I never stopped and thought about it. I never stopped and thought, like, food is fuel, food is energy, food is, you know, is something's happening inside my body when I'm eating food, and it's having an effect on my physical body. So the fact that the name of the book is Food is really kind of ironic, because what I learned in my work was that making the next right choice around eating has very little to actually do with food. And that for me was absolutely mind-blowing, because food is the thing that I ultimately pick up and put in my mouth, but there are 1,000 choices and 1,000 things firing in my mind before I actually put my hand on whatever that thing is going to be and I eat it. So what I think what I wrote in the back of the book was, you know, it has very little to do with food at all. That's the irony of the whole thing. For me, it's got very little to do with it. For me, it had everything to do with creating ease around something that was so out of order for me. The woman, Irene Pace, who did my foreword, summed it up. She's a nutritionist, an executive nutritionist, and she's just amazing. We were on a show, she had me on her show called Chop Talk. She's just a fantastic nutritionist, and she was kind enough to write the foreword for my book. And what she said was, when people have trouble around food, it's usually got to do with their upbringing. And when they reach for food as a result of emotion, it's a way to adapt to a situation the best that we can. So if I'm stressed out and I'm worried about something and I'm mindlessly munching and it's helping me cope through that feeling, what I did was I adapted. And what she says is, what was once adaptive has now become maladaptive. And that was exactly what happened in my case. So that was so insightful of her to put that together that way. So many of us who cope with emotions by eating are doing that because that's what we developed as a coping mechanism to get through an uncomfortable set of circumstances. But now that train has sort of become runaway train. It's maladaptive now. It's not working the way that we originally hoped it would. Doesn't mean that we were bad or broken. It doesn't. And that's another really important piece, because we blame ourselves. It just means that what used to work in one way doesn't work anymore, and it can use a fresh set of eyes, and we can make a new choice. And when I boiled it down to one new choice, that was amazingly empowering for me, because I can make one choice. If you told me you have to figure out how to lose 150 pounds today and start today, I never would have started, because I did not know how to do that. But if you tell me, can you make one right choice right now? And by right, I mean aligned with what you want for yourself. Can you make one choice? Yeah, I can. And that was the whole difference for me.
That is so real. That is so. How do you eat an elephant, huh? One bite at a time. One bite at a time. Talk to me about the impact of your father and the turning point there. That he's contributed to this work.
Yes. So my father was a really great man, and my mother too. There were some, and when you read the book, you'll see there were some difficulties in my childhood around addiction and stuff in our household. But my father was really ahead of his time. And you'll read this in the book, but through a series of events, I witnessed his deathbed words. And his deathbed words were so empowering that for me, they were the life as you know it up to this moment. Then the deathbed words happen. And then life as you know it after this moment. It was that clear and polarizing. It was one of those moments. And I don't know what the proper name of that moment is, other than to say I had life before it and I had life after it. So ironically, in dying, he taught me how to live. He taught me how to die too, because the way he died was absolutely as majestic as death can be, and it can be majestic. He did that, and he showed me how to die, but he also gave me new life. And the words that he shared were, make the life you want, be happy. And it was such a simple, gives me goosebumps to this day, 11 years later, 10 and a half years later. It was such a simple sentiment that he'd actually boiled down for my young son, knowing that he wouldn't be there for their future together. And he boiled down all of his amazing wisdom into a simple phrase that my son could carry forward with him in his life. And that was, make the life you want, be happy. And if that didn't hit me like a lightning bolt, Dr. Fred, I don't know, because it grabbed me. It was for him, but I absolutely was changed by those words, because there's a simple brilliance in that phrase. And that phrase is, it's up to you.
Wow.
I love you and I want you to be happy. It's up to you. And once I realized it was up to me, that everything changed. Everything changed. And then I incorporated that one step at a time. And if you read this dedication here, you know, I dedicate it to my grandmother. Her name was Happy. And my mom, who would always say, how about a nice fruit cup? And my dad, who we'd go, no matter where we went, when we came home, he'd say, where'd you go? What'd you eat? All in one sentence. And then last but not least, to my beautiful son, Levi, who was so encouraging to me to write my story and share my story, despite sharing some personal things that I worried I might get some pushback from. He
Wow.
encouraged me to be honest and share my story because he believes, like I do, hopes that it will help people.
Wow. Wow. Walk us through these chapter titles, if you will.
I will, yes, absolutely. So the foreword is written by Irene Pace. She's a nutritionist and amazing. She just read the story and was kind enough to write a really beautiful foreword. And then I address the reader directly in a little introduction called Dear Reader. And then I share my story, which you can see by the page numbers is pretty long, about 40 plus years of being morbidly obese. And morbidly obese means more than 100 pounds overweight. And I had some rough times in those years. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I abused myself. I was abused by others, strangers, people I knew, a lot. And it was something to share. And my reason for sharing so much of it with a reader is not to do a trauma dump, but it's to let them know that I've been there. I've been the 311-pound person in a bar who gets singled out and basically harassed by a group of people, almost threatened. I have been there. So I want the person reading this who doesn't know how to get out of their situation to know that they can trust me because I've literally been where they are. And I understand it deeply and I honor it deeply. So I share some of those stories in that beginning part that I call a memoir of dis-ease. And then I share the story of my dad in chapter 2. And then I start to unravel how I did it. How did I shift things in my life to lose 150 pounds? And the first thing I did, and this is all done in hindsight, was I boiled it down into some simple commitments that I made to myself. Very simple things that you can incorporate into your life if you wish, or find your own simple things that you can commit to. But the point is, like you said, Dr. Jones, how do you eat an elephant one bite at a time? The point is to boil this down into things that make sense in your life, bite-sized pieces that you can commit to that fit and they don't feel like punishment. And that was so key, because when a thing feels like punishment, I'm figuring out how to get out, period. And I had to set this up in a way that would make me successful, and I did. So I share what the basics of those were in the 9 Eat with Ease commitments. And then chapter 4, 6 Eat with Ease discoveries, things that I discovered along the way, surprises. And then 10 Eat with Ease strategies. What do I actually do? And I share those in that chapter. And then how do I maintain it? I mean, I'm several years out from losing that weight. I go up and down. It's not and I didn't know this either. I thought once I lost the weight, I'd magically be a skinny person. Doesn't work like that. I have to continue to honor the commitments to myself so that I can keep stable. And that's what I call maintaining ease. And then I share in chapter 8 how my mom found ease in her life and how I find mine. And then just what happy means in chapter, make the life you want, be happy. I reflect a little bit in chapter 9 about what being happy means to me. And then I wrote a short poem in chapter 10. And then I write an open letter to the medical community about what I wish traditional medical personnel knew in terms of how to work with someone who's overweight, who comes to them. There's so much dialogue that needs to take place and a new way of communicating with people who are morbidly obese. First of all, do they even want to be spoken to? Not everybody does, and that's fine. But when someone does, what's the best way to communicate so that the person feels welcome in the office? I was not treated the best by most people in the medical community because they saw an overweight person and they made 100 judgments about me. And, I was actually called lazy. I am not lazy. I haven't been lazy a day in my life, but this woman thought, oh, fat means lazy. It doesn't. And it's no way to treat people. So I lambast the medical community basically, which is probably not going to make me too popular. But what my hope is from doing that, Dr. Jones, is to spur a conversation. If a doctor reads that book, and I'm honored if they do, that they think, how can I best outstretch my hand if I want to help somebody? And let me check my own biases against this person, because I have friends who are overweight who don't even want to go to the doctor for something because they don't want to be spoken down to about their weight. And it happens all the time. So I'm on my high horse there a little bit, but I think we can all do better. So that's my wish.
Well, I can't even imagine you lambasting anyone. I'm quite sure what you put there will be well received, and it's going to help a lot of doctors discover perhaps a blind spot or something that they didn't realize that was there. So I am so grateful, and I know a lot of people that are just eager and waiting to get their hands on this book. Anyway, anything else you want to tell the readers and those that are listening and those that will be watching on replay about the message and the heart and the spirit of this book that you've written and published?
Yes, my deepest wish is that if you're suffering with something that is not in line with how you want to move forward in your life, that this book helps you figure out with actual strategies how to take that next step forward and create ease around that situation. That's the first thing. Second thing is, if you're a person who likes to write, please order the paperback version. The Kindle version has the journal prompts in it, but you can't actually write in it, of course, because it's a Kindle. So if you're a person who's tactile, who likes to hold a book, read the journal prompts and write the prompts, please order the paperback version. There's also a hardback version coming out, so you're welcome to get that one too. You can order any of the three now. And I'm also working on an audiobook because a friend of mine was begging me to narrate it. She said that some of the stories that she found heartwarming in the dis-ease part, the memoir part, really need to be shared in my voice. So my hope is that you find a version that works best for the way you like to interact with what you're reading, whether that's Kindle or paperback. And it would just be such an honor to me if you read it and let me know if it helped you, what you thought about it, honest feedback. If you feel so encouraged, or if you felt so drawn, you could write a review on Amazon. That would be amazing. It really helps authors when things are new, so people know if the book is worth reading or not. And my deepest wish is that it is, and I hope it helps people.
So, Amy, if someone out there wanted to book you as their keynote speaker, I'm quite sure that you're busy. You've gotten lots of media coverage. About how many audience? Give me some numbers around this Dr. Oz viewing audience. Give me some numbers around that.
The Dr. Oz segment was seen by over 28 million people on its first run. And the producer told me that it was watched, that series was watched several times in replay by people. So I was really, really just overwhelmed and honored that people felt it was useful.
Wow.
28 million for Dr.
28 million. That's not 2,800. That's not 28,000. That's 28 million viewers. 28 million viewers.
I don't want to think about it too much. I'll freak out.
So, folks, this lady is, I'm calling her from author to media authority. I mean, she got so many interviews. I mean, Amy, how many newspaper, television programs?
I was just amazingly fortunate. Yeah. I worked with Jen Gottlieb and Chris Winfield, who helped teach how to reach out when you feel like you have a message, how to get your message out to help people. And it resonated with me because this, believe it or not, this is not about me. I don't wake up in the morning and say, how can I be on TV today? I wake up in the morning and say, how can I help someone today? And that's the truth. I have it written right here on my computer. Want to have a good day? Help someone. Because for me, that's what makes it a good day. I help somebody today, I feel wonderful. So the whole idea about getting on media is that's a really great way to reach people. So I've been fortunate. I've been on Dr. Oz. I was on Health Beat with wonderful local woman, Benita Zahn. I have another local anchor who's discussing with me. I got to get the book to her so she can read it. And then we're going to do a little, January refresh. How, you made the New Year's resolution and you've tried the fad diet, you've crashed and burned, which we all do. We all do. And, what do we do next? And I want to be a resource for people. I'm also going to reach out to some local community events so that I can speak with people there. And I have a couple of articles coming up in Authority Magazine and Medium Magazine. And I have 2 or 3 podcasts lined up with some amazing people, and I'm pinching myself because it's so exciting. And I have to take a deep breath because, behind this whole thing, I have this book, and my idea is to just try to get this book to people whom it might help.
So if someone wanted to book you for a speaking engagement, a keynote speaker, a breakout speaker, a trainer, I mean, are you available to do those things?
Totally, yeah.
Okay.
And, I used to, believe it or not, used to do a training for the state of New York for computers. So I do work, I can do workshops and things like that easily, but I love to speak and work with people. The best thing, they can go on my website, which is www.amyfreinberg.com, FREINBERG, or they can just simply send me an email directly to my email, which is amylikestodance@gmail.com. And my son made that up because when I do dishes, I may or may not dance.
Uh, I hear you. I hear you, Amy. That's phenomenal. This has been a beautiful journey of from conception to creation. I mean, all the way. And I just want to commend you on this and just say keep on going because I got a feeling this is just the tip of the iceberg.
Dr. Jones, I know, you were shying away from this a little bit, but I have to thank you too for being such a competent, kind mentor to me during this process. My editor, Barbara Reyna, supportive and amazing. Henrietta Sampson, the woman who helped me format the book, Irene Pace, and you, Dr. Jones, it was like a dream team. You got me over the finish line. I got a published book and I'm proud of it today. So I feel wonderful and I feel honored and I feel blessed. And most of all, I'm just so grateful.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Folks, you can find Amy at amyfreinbergtrufush.com.
No True Fash. Nope. I thought that was too much, so I just shrunk it
Amy
down.
Freinberg.
amyfreinberg.com, or if they want to just shoot me an email, it's amylikestodance@gmail.com.
Amy likes to dance. I can handle that. Amy likes to dance at gmail.com. That's Amy, AMYLIKESTO, dance, DANCE at gmail.com. Thank you so much, Amy, and blessings to you and wishing you the very best with your book launch.
Thank you, Dr. Jones. Thanks for everything. I'm so happy to be here.
Hey, everybody, if you're watching this on replay, ease on over to Amazon now and grab your copy. Food, Eat with Ease every day. Amy Trufash Freinberg. Thank you so much, Amy. And we're going to stop right here.